Right, should we do a segment that brings us all together? Something we can all agree on, something that cheers us. Let's make fun of California.
All right,
that's
there's
what we
the white pill for today.
Yes, yes.
I want to do the Wile E. Coyote thing of the dotted line and just soar and watch it float off into the ocean.
That would be good because look, obviously it's falling apart. What's the absolute base tier of a civilization? It's basically property rights and law and order. Basic fundamental things from which then all else can flourish. California isn't really doing that particularly well. And they're actually kind of doing it through legislation, a bit like in the last segment. They have basically decided to try and institute a sort of utopian vision, and they're gonna bring in laws that are going to change everything. It turns out it screws everything up.
You say utopia. Me, conspiracy theorist enjoyer, thinks this is just deliberate anarcho-tyranny. So it keeps...
Well, that's what it achieves.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But it's strategic because it keeps the law-abiding people on the ground constantly confused and looking to government and law enforcement at all times because they're not allowed to own a gun and not allowed to defend themselves. And so the oligarchy, the permanently instanced Nancy Pelosi-style class, are never politically challenged, and they're just perpetually voted in by the dependent class that either need free handouts or the ones that are so worried that they think they're ever going to have a crackdown on the drug addicts and random people looting their shops.
Yes, that sounds about right. I actually didn't want to make this segment about Prop 47, but we've got to cover that. We've got to start with that one before we go on to the next one. Are you familiar with the Prop 47?
Yes, I am.
You heard that one? That's one where basically you can shoplift up to £950.
Free stuff, man. Free stuff. What could go wrong?
I thought, maybe I would point out its disadvantages, but actually it might be more fun to find somebody who is a proponent of it and let them make the case as to why it's actually a really good thing. So I managed to find a chap called John Legend. Now, that's a good name.
Oh, do you know him?
I don't know who he is. I just found it.
He's the singer. He's a pianist, multi-millionaire. He's married to Chrissy Teigen. They brought a camera crew to their abortion. They're really weird people.
Okay. Yeah. I just found that he was a musician, artist, and activist, is what he describes himself as. And he makes the case for why Prop 47 is a really good idea. John, let's roll this.
Or how about a world where we're able to keep our communities safe by preventing harm, instead of packing millions of people into our jails and prisons? Now, before you say this sounds impossible, you should know we have already started to do this in some places.
Criminals, not
Take
people.
California. For decades, California's prisons have been in crisis. In response, California's voters passed Proposition 47, a groundbreaking new policy to send fewer people to prison for low-level crimes and invest that money saved back into our communities. So the question is Prop 47 working? The answer is yes. Since it passed, Prop 47 has reduced incarceration in the nation's most populous state by more than 20,000 people annually, without making crime go up. It's also reallocated more than $600 million from the state prison's budget into community safety solutions like preventing violence, providing mental health support, and treating addiction. In short, California invested in public safety by reimagining what public safety actually means.
Being unsafe.
And you know what I thought when I saw that? The first thing that popped in my head?
What?
Parody or reality. You can't tell the difference. Because 20 years ago, that would have been a skit on The Onion.
I think he's being sincere.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. But that's the world we live in now. You can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's almost like the inverse of the Chris Rock bit of how to not get your ass kicked by the police.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just love the idea of, we didn't make crime go up. How did you do that? Well, we just stopped counting it as crime.
That's right.
Like it's no longer fair.
Yes. Well, this is the interesting thing. So, I mean, I'll quickly pull apart a couple of the arguments. So, first of all, it works because the prison population has gone down by 20,000.
If that's the only metric you're considering.
If that's and that's
because the prisoners are busy carjacking people, right?
Right. He also talks about, and this is going to come up a lot, the 600 million saved. That didn't actually happen. The budgets did get reallocated, but there wasn't actually a net saving. The fiscal position of California has gone into a complete nosedive.
Wait, are you implying that Democrat governments don't spend money wisely?
No, well, and also because of the crime, their revenues, their tax base is just plummeting.
Oh, because people were leaving. Because they don't want their cars broken.
Yeah, and economic activity and all the rest of it, the whole thing. So the economic arguments and all the rest of it is gone completely sideways. But of course, he's not the only one who's a fan of Prop 47. We've also got the psychopath himself,
American Psycho.
Yes.
American Psycho. Let's play what he says.
Hey, Patrick Bateman was at least cool.
2014. Everyone's pointing to Prop 47. If Prop 47 is responsible for flash mobs stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars, If that's the case, then I ask, was it responsible for property crime and shoplifting, property crime and violent crime dropping in 2015 and 16 and 17 and 18 and 19?
Doesn't he look a little bit like old Josh?
Yeah, he does. He does.
You should clip that bit.
There we go. I've ruined Josh for all the femcells in the audience.
So basically, the argument is that after they redefined crime dropped for several years. Yes, it did. Right, and then the criminal class internalized the incentives had fundamentally changed to such a significant extent that even on the redefined level of crime went like straight through it. Now, if we had more time in this segment, I would let's. I've got an image of Yvette Ingram. Now, Yvette is, and I put this in a reading link. She did a documentary where she talked about the effect of crime on herself. I would love to play loads of clips from this, but I'm just going to tell you basically the key points from this. So, she's a sole business person. Put her own blood and sweat and tears into starting various stores, and what she does is medical wigs for people who are going through cancer, right. so they can look whole. I think
That's wholesome.
I think if it happened to me, I'd probably just embrace the bald. But obviously, for women, it is a very different thing. So she was providing medical wigs, and as anybody who's ever started a small business knows, you throw your soul into that thing. If you've got a job, you go home, you stop thinking about work. If you're a small business person, you go home. Yeah. Christmas Day, evenings, weekend, right. It is always on your mind, and there is nothing that is beyond you. People who do this are, they're proper people. They're people who really contribute to stuff. So anyway, so she describes what has been happening to her. She's now getting shoplifted on a daily basis, and bear in mind these are medical wigs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what population's doing all the shoplifting?
Well, there are some CCTV footage in the documentary if you wanted to test any theories on that one.
I imagine they're not being used by cancer patients. They're probably being used for very stylish weaves.
Yeah, that is a definite possibility.
Yes.
So shoplifting is now a daily basis, and burglaries, as in somebody turning up at night, smashing the windows, running in, is now down to a monthly basis. So her last burglary cost her $25,000 in stock. She's been hit by $150,000 in total in burglaries, and basically it's got to the point where she just can't do anymore. So she's had to close her stores, and this is one example, but this is happening all of the time in California. Bear in mind these are medical wigs, so imagine what it is for something that the criminal class really want.
Same thing happened with the BLM riots. There was the guy, I think there was a black fella as well. He started up a sports bar. He poured all his money into it, and then a couple of days after it opened. Incinerated.
Many such cases all across
That's
California.
What, $2 billion worth of damage?
Yeah. Let's throw up the sheriff, because the sheriff is also on this documentary, like I say, which is linked in the reading notes if you wanted to go and watch the whole thing. The sheriff points the finger at Proposition 47. He says that theft under $950 is now a misdemeanor. So basically, all that happens if you get caught is you get a citation. The property is returned. There's no threat of jail. You can turn up again half an hour later and steal the same item again. Also, it removed other things. So it used to be the case even before, if you were stealing under the threshold, whatever it was then, you did it 3 times. You then got petty theft with a prior. That then took you up to a more serious level of charge, and you went off to county jail. So it was exactly the thing that John Legend was talking about. People were ending up in jail for committing crime.
So what you're saying is the sheriff is racist. Right?
That is how the narrative might come at that one. Absolutely. So I mean, and he also makes another series of points, which is excellent as well. It's basically because of the insurance angle, businesses are being put in a bind. Right. They can either report the crime to their insurance and claim the stock back and stay alive that way. Yeah, but their premiums go through the roof, and they're unable to afford insurance, and they might not get it. Now, actually, a lot of cases in California, that decision has been taken away from them because the whole insurance conglomerates are pulling out of California, and they're just not providing insurance.
I did see one ingenious but ridiculous that he had to go to this extent method of getting around this, where one guy's store, everything is priced $950, and when you bring it to the till, you get a coupon to reduce the price. But he just has to set it de facto to listed at $950.
The only issue you've got is that now, because the incentive structures have changed and crime has become so rampant, that he's basically assuming that the old mechanisms of the police turning up and doing their job still function. Yep. And of course, because crime is now rampant, even if he's going around it on that technicality, it's not going to work because police aren't going to show up. In fact, the Ingram woman that I showed a couple of minutes ago, she was saying that actually towards the end, before she had to shut down, is most of the time the police, if they did show up, and they often didn't show up, but even if they did show up for a major thing, they wouldn't even get out the car. They basically wind down the window, hand her a crime number for the burglary, and then drive off again.
That's basically over here as well. Burglaries just don't get investigated.
So we all have to finance our own criminal gangs to steal our stuff back.
Well, you know what? Funnily
Yeah,
enough, you should have plugged that in this segment.
Actually,
Dan and I did a discussion with Josh, young Gavin Newsom, recently about the economics of organized crime. And we said, frankly, at this stage, if the police are unwilling to enforce the law, you probably will get mafias opening up in California,
Oh, for sure you will.
paying protection money for a fraction of the cost that insurance would cost.
This was the original justification for the Salvadorian gangs. They were
Yep.
protecting members of their community. So
Exactly.
we're going full circle. It just all the white people are going to be doing that now.
Yeah, exactly. Because if basically all the legal routes have been shut off, because it used to be law enforcement and insurance, that was your
Right.
mechanism.
Yeah.
If that's gone, basically what you need is a bunch of shop owners getting together to have a mafioso with a baseball bat wandering up and down the street ready to crack heads.
There it is. Economics of organized crime. £5.
There we
a
go.
month. It's
That's what I'm going to plug.
it's
Scrap the other one, but that one, yeah.
But well, it's a perfect discussion because we did actually say what's going to happen as well is it's going to deteriorate into ethnic preferentialism. And if
Yeah.
you want to avoid that, then you do have a colorblind application of the law. But the Democrats are so determined not to do so because, unfortunately, the crime statistics
Well,
are really
that brings me on to the actual point of this segment. So, if you've basically taken away all the legal routes from people, take the law into their own hands, and then you get comedy moments like this where a shop worker chases down a shoplifter themselves. Let's play this clip. So, for those
Nice
of you
shot.
listening, a vibrant member of the community is cycling down the street with his stolen goods,
A
and the
Dollar
shop
General
worker basically
employee
plows into him with her car.
an alleged thief with her car.
Had to chuckle at that one, but that's basically where you've got to in California. It's either you just take the loss on the nose.
And she's going to get prosecuted, isn't she?
This
That's
is the
exactly
thing.
what's gonna
So
happen.
because you've made it basically impossible for any legal mechanisms to work, you have to take the law into your own hands or basically go out of business. So what do the Californians do? They bring in Prop 535.
553.
553, yes, 553, and in fact, we've got there we go. We've got the link there. So this is an article that talks about it, and basically what they do is they say, okay, it is now a $20,000 fine for attempting to intercept theft.
So they're literally criminalizing the law-abiding people.
Yes, while decriminalizing the criminals.
Well, at least they know their voter base.
Let me guess, they're doing it for their safety.
The sheer insanity of this.
Yeah.
The sheer ludicrousness. Right now, actually, the bill did get toned down a little bit because originally it would have prohibited loss prevention officers as well. So loss prevention officers. Next link, John. And these guys have techniques that they can deploy to impact on crime. And
You choose this image for a reason, Dan.
do you recognise this one?
No, but there's a woman getting patted down.
Oh, I just typed in shoplifter into Google Images, and are you seeing something?
Well,
You know why this is very good?
Right.
I have some friends that worked in loss prevention for many, many years.
Yes.
This dispels a lot of the preconceived ideas of what a shoplifter looks like. That's what they look like.
Quite right. Yes. So, but
Saved him, didn't I?
the problem you've got, right? The problem you've got is smaller stores. They can't afford security guards. So basically, the only thing that's going to work is the mafiosos, like we talked about, or it basically becomes a hole in the wall shop where everything is locked away and you pay first and then you get handed a bag of goods.
like with the metal grates that are over like most pawn shops that would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would be like if you've ever been to a petrol station in the middle of the night, they basically shut down the shop and it's just like a hole in the wall and you pay and then
Oh yeah.
But
There's one Indian man who's risking his life talking through the little.
yeah.
microphone
But
thing.
it'll be like that, but for grocery goods as well. Now, in my household, that would be a bloody nightmare. The reason being is I've got a daughter who is allergic to dairy, and milk powder gets put in bloody everything. I literally do need to read the back of the packet before I buy stuff because otherwise I'm creating a big problem for myself. So, but that can't happen in California. Everything's either going to have to go online behind a barrier or mafiosos.
Well, yeah, have you been to the States recently? Because
No.
in Democrat states, so I went to two, and I mean it's just a regular CVS pharmacy in a fairly affluent area, and they lock everything up in the aisles behind behind plastic screens, because even things like disposable razors.
Yeah,
you'd think who's nicking those, but it turns out plenty.
Well, the logical progression would be why have a shop that you can walk around at all? Just a whole series of windows you go to.
Live in the pod and just order it to your door via drone. Just another step towards that, isn't it?
Yeah. So what I wanted to then get to is, why is California doing this? And I did lots of research on this and to see the arguments for it. There are loads and loads of videos, and I watched loads of this stuff, right? And basically, I've narrowed it down to the key bit that explains the thinking. This won't take very long. I've really condensed it. Let's watch this.
The studies clearly show.
That's it. That's the key point. The reason California is falling apart is because reality is not performing in line with the theory.
So experts.
Yes.
The experts are at it again.
They've done their studies. They've figured out what should happen. And then for some reason, reality isn't complying, but doesn't matter because the theory is good.
Right.
That's ultimately what it comes to. So I then thought a bit more about this, and I thought, right, well, basically, it just shows that democracy cannot work in California.
You could have just ended it before in California.
Because it's devolving into a narco-tyranny where the criminal receives full legal protection and the law-abiding are basically tyrannized. Right. So how do we solve California?
You saw it off from the rest of the continent.
That is one good solution. The solution that I came up with, and I'm very proud of this.
That was Superman 1, by the way, right?
Yes, in which Lex Luthor was the hero and Superman was the villain. Yes. My solution is this. Tribal elders.
No, I agree with this.
Yeah, it's the only thing.
I agree with this.
It is the only
We should
thing
go
that
back
can work
to
in
this.
California.
Yeah.
So basically, apparently California is made of 58 counties. So you basically select a group of tribal elders in each county, and you have a man with a machete, and that's your legal system.
Okay, well, not man with machete. I think public caning would work a lot better, like the Singaporeans do.
Yeah, possibly.
The only hole in this plan.
Yes.
The only hole.
Yes.
You're gonna need men on the council, and the absence of fathers is behind a lot of this. So you might be short-staffed for a bit. You're gonna end up with a longhouse again.
Well, the thing is, each county can have their own set of tribal elders who do it.
Right.
So for Orange County, I'm imagining that bloke with the mustache who did the motorbikes. I can't remember his name.
Right.
But I want him to be one of the tribal elders for Orange County, and then a whole bunch of guys like that. And then Orange County will be quite sensible, presumably. Yes. And then you'll get other areas which will be, John Legend and a whole bunch of, the floaty
Lovies.
Yeah. And then basically you get to see what happens when people enforce things properly and people go down the theory route. I think it's brilliant. This is
to support your thesis, but also to show a little hole in that, I'll give Canada as an example. Yeah. You are right in the fact that will work, because that's what happens in Canada. That's why the natives and indigenous have so much political power.
Yes.
In a previous life, I used to be a gemologist, and I worked for a big diamond conglomerate. We were part of the lobby that was negotiating on the Acadie diamond mine, which is in Northwest Territories. And one of the big problems we had was Canada had surrendered all the water rights to the local native tribes. So doing any development there took decades because they could block absolutely anything. However,
envelope.
The problem becomes when those tribal elders decide they want a brand new Mercedes convertible. They want to build a mansion on the reserve, so they keep all the money for themselves.
Yeah,
and everybody else is drinking paint thinner.
I appreciate it. It's not the ideal solution. The ideal solution is to live in a modern Western democracy. Well, I'm just saying it can't work in California, so we're going to have to go to this instead.
They're already drinking paint thinner in California as it is, so they're already well on their way, right? Yeah. So you might be onto something. I think I can get on board with this.
It's got to be the solution. California, give up democracy. Go
either
back
that or mafioso. Mafioso sounds good.
Organized crime or tribal elders, take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds great.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the symposium episodes, this one on value pluralism. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.